Hi, good morning everyone. Let's get started with our next training topic, which is on export preparation. So basically, whenever any OSDB migration is to be performed, before we can actually start exporting the data, one of the major activity is the preparation of export. So before we can export the data out of the source system, we have to prepare the export. So what is involved in preparing the export? So let's see. Okay, so basically here we are trying to do an export of a ABAP based system. So we take an inventory of things like whether the system is dual stack or not, whether have we downloaded the master, that is the installation master, which is having the export option for that particular version. Okay, then we downloaded the Java software, have we downloaded the relevant kernel, Oracle patches, JC policy files, then the softwares like some or things like kernel. Okay, so basically what to categorize them, the way they looks like is, first thing is the software provisioning tool, which is the tool using which you will trigger the export. Okay, so that is the first tool. Then second thing is about the relevant kernel, that is for the source system you need to have the relevant kernel with. Okay, then you need to have a Java software if it is a dual stack system. Okay, then the database point of view, do you have the relevant database software, the patches, the policy files. Okay, so these are some of the softwares which need to be downloaded beforehand, okay, before you can start the export process. Okay, then in the preparation phase there is one key activity is to run this particular report called SMIGR underscore DDL create DDL. So what this does is basically this is the report for checking the custom SQL statement. Say for example, if you have a standard SAP system, you may not have that. Say for example, for the ECC system, the output of SMIGR underscore create DLL may be empty, the files will be empty, but we have to run it because especially for say BW based systems, they have lot of custom structures created, custom BW structures created. So wherever we feel that there is a custom structure involved, custom schema involved, custom database related activities is involved, so we have to run this program called SMIGR create DLL. So it will create the data dictionary related statements, and once these statements are created, so what will happen is that when the export is running, it will try to pick up those non-standard or non-SAP supplied or non things like which are not there in the standard SAP, like BW schema, BW structures. So those type of things get captured by this particular report. Okay, if you see this particular syntax of this, say for what we'll do is, if we go to this program called SE38 and we run the report called SMIGR underscore create DLL, so here you can see that this is valid for, you can have these many types of databases, that is you can have DB2, DB4, DB6, Informix, Oracle, MS SQL, MaxDB. Okay, so this report you can have the target database for these additional parameters. Say for example, if you are doing Unicode conversion, and then the installation directory is in which directory it need to be installed. Okay, so then these are some of the optional parameters as well. So once you run this, it will take about 30 to 40 minutes depending on the size of the database, and it will create one key file called sqlfiles.lst. Okay, depending on which parameter, which folder you have specified, you'll find these files in those folder. Okay, so SQL files.lst, that is list down the SQL files which is created. So you may be find couple of SQL files listed there. Okay, here you can see that this is an example of how those files will be the output of that particular program, that is smigr_create_dll. So here you can see that SQL files.lst, and there are two other XML files which is created. Okay, so next thing is we will go to this particular program, we'll go to the installation master. Okay, so installation master, if it is a older installations, you may need to use tools like SAP INST. Okay, or you may need to use for the newer installations, you may need to use software provisioning manager. Okay, so depending on what type of version it is and whether do you have the export import version for the relevant software component, software version in there. Okay, so in this particular folder you can see that this is basically upgrade from 7.01 to 7.3. so in this particular upgrade preparation, what we are doing is we are starting the SAP INST tool, SAP INST tool, and once we start the SAP INST tool, here you can see that there are different components which can get updated or migrated from here. So you can see that we have CRM, ECC, under that you have things like application server ABAP, application server Java, and the migration related components, you will find them under software lifecycle options. Okay, under software lifecycle options, look for system copy. Okay, in system copy you will find different databases. So go to the source system export, and under that let's go for the central system. Okay, here you can see that just make sure that you expand in this particular manner and go to the ABAP and Java based export preparation. So what happens in the export preparation, you can see that, say here when you expand that, it will give you the description of, basically this is an optional step, but it is advised to carry out this particular step. Okay, the export preparations are required if you are to build the target system up to the point where the database load starts before the export of the source system. So especially if you are using migration monitor for export, this is must, because it will create the structure of the database. Okay, so you will have the statements which is having the structure. Okay, so in the preparation activity you can find there are things like table splitting preparation. So if the larger tables are there, they can be split from here. So that is one thing that I wanted to bring it up. Okay, now when you have selected the export preparation, the first screen that comes is asking for the profile information. So in the profile information, the main thing is that you need to provide the location where your SAP profile related files are present. So profile files, if you go to the SAP's, if you are managing SAP system as a basis administrator, you will know the location where the profiles are present. You will have three different types of profile. You will have default profile, you will have a system instance profile, okay, and system profile. So these are the three different types of profile you will find there. And once you go to that folder, okay, you will find these three .pfl files, and once you provide that location, all the information relevant to the SAP system is picked up from the profile folder, and it will give you the next option, which is basically is asking for the authentication information, that is what is the SID ADM password. Okay, so you need to provide that particular password, that is so that once it has the SID ADM, SID basically stand for the software information. It's basically the instance location, the key instance for SAP, and once you go provide that information, okay, then you need to provide a location for the export. So basically it will ask the location of where you want to dump all the export related files. So that information is provided and captured here. Okay, so next thing is in the definition of parameters, you need to define the key source system parameters, that is the source database ID. Okay, so DB-SID, source of the database, that is the what type of database is the source system. We have Oracle, it could be anything. Then the database host, this is the host name of the database where you are triggering the export. Then you have the source OS, that is what is the operating system for the source where you are triggering the export preparation. So next thing here you can find is the target system specific information. So in the target system specific information, the main thing that is being asked is that which type of OS you will be creating your target system. So that is the database for the target system is specified here. Okay, then this is one very important information is about the update database statistics. So what happens is that the update stats are run. You can see that using BR Connect we are running the update stats, all the update stats. So this optimizes the export time, because if you have a very large systems like a terabyte system, it can take up to 12 to 15 hours or even 24 hours for the export depending on the speed of your system. So it is very important that you run these statistics, or before you are running this, what you can do is say one day before, a few days, at least one day before you trigger this, so that you already have the updated statistics. Okay, so this actually speeds up the export process, so it is advised to perform this, but you have an option that you can perform this at a time when you are starting the export preparation, or you can do it few hours before the export. So because it takes about 1 to 2 hours, so you can save that time if you have done it before, little bit before. Even if you do it few days or few weeks before, what will happen is that the update statistics will change, because the objects keep changing and their locations and the identifications where they are loaded may keep changing. So just make sure that you are not doing it much in advance, this particular activity. Okay, now here it gives the summary, that is whatever parameters we have specified so far in the export preparation. So all these parameters are listed here. You can see that you have specified the profile related parameter, that is the folder where your profile directory is present. You have specified your OS user password, that is password for the SAP system administrator. You have specified the location where your export will be stored, and for the target system you have specified the type of target database. Okay, and the decision about whether you want to include your update statistics during the export or not. So once you make a decision, you just need to click next and you will get into the execution phase. So in the execution phase, here you can see that there are 5 major steps involved in this. First is the export preparation. After that it is doing the update database statistics, preparing to export ABAP, preparing to export Java, and finally it will create the export DB size file. So DB size file, as you will see, is basically it will tell you that okay, this is going to be the size of your target database, and each tables, what is going to be the size for each tables, what is going to be the different components within the table. So basically this will provide you the information about for the target system what is the size you need. So this is extremely important so that you can prepare your target system based on this information. Okay, once it is completed, it depends on whether you have selected the update stats or not. It may take up to, say, without this it may take about 10 to 15 minutes, or even if it is very fast system it may take up to 5 minutes, but if you have selected the update stats it may take about 2 hours or so. Okay, so this is pretty much about the export preparation for an ABAP system. That is what I wanted to cover in this particular training video. Thank you for joining and have a nice day. Bye bye.